Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome once again to our channel with another IELTS collaboration with an international expert. And today we have a very special guest from Nigeria but living in UAE, Miss Ehimen. Hi Ehimen, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Hi, Nawab.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you very much. Tell us something about yourself and then I'll be informing our viewers that on what topic we are going to talk about.
Okay, so basically, my name is Ehimen. Like you said, I live in the UAE. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm an IELTS tutor, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that's more than enough. Thank you. So, guys, today Ehimen would be talking about 10 special tips. Those are going to help you out in IELTS Speaking Part 1 test. So, over to you, our expert.
Okay, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on your channel today. Thank you for having me. So like Nawab said, we'll be going quickly over 10 tips that will be very relevant for you if you're preparing for the IELTS speaking test, especially in part 1. So I did prepare a presentation. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Just hang on a second.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it's about to share now.
Yes, it will be sharing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
Perfectly fine. Yes, we are over there now.
all right. So I will start.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. So, I had 5 tips. It's 10 tips actually. All right. So
Okay, no
the first,
problem. You can
the very first thing that you want to do when preparing for the IELTS test is a mindset. You need to prepare your mindset. So the first part 1, is a Q&A, a question and answer session. It's like an interview, not a discussion. The reason we emphasize on this is that you have to prepare your mindset so that you can be attentive, listen to the questions, and know that this part is basically for you to respond to answers. In part 2, of course, you will be narrating, and in part 3, you will be discussing. But in part 1, it's basically question and answer session. So have this in mind when you're preparing. It's going to be interview style, and you just need to be attentive to the questions so that you can answer accordingly. Next tip, you need to be relaxed. You need to put a smile on your face, be very attentive but very relaxed. The reason I say this is that, again, if you are feeling tension, if you are tensed, if you are panicking, this will affect your performance. You can even forget the answers that you have. You might even forget to use your vocabulary. You will just be destabilized. So the best thing to do, since this is part 1 and you're just about to start the test, is for you to calm down, take a deep breath, relax, and smile at your examiner. It always, always helps. Okay, so the next tip, if you are unsure about a question, please do not panic. Just politely ask the examiner to repeat the question. You are allowed to ask the examiner to repeat the question. So if you didn't hear a question properly or you don't understand, just say to the examiner, please, could you repeat that? Yeah. It's better for you to ask for clarification than for you to answer wrongly. When you answer a question wrongly, you are telling the examiner that you don't understand. Like your understanding of English is poor. Yeah. So you don't want that to happen. So you can actually ask for a repeat. In other parts of the test, the examiner may be able to rephrase the question if you're struggling with a difficult word. But in this first part, they will not rephrase the question or tell you the meaning of the word if you don't know it, but they will be kind enough to repeat the question if you aren't sure. Okay?
Sure.
Now the next tip is, look, we can't predict the questions that will be asked at an IELTS speaking test. Nobody can predict that. We can only speculate, but we can speculate within a sphere, okay? And we know that oftentimes the questions that you'll be asked in part 1 are usually about your family or about you, the student. what you do, where you live, what you like or dislike. The questions will generally be around something like this. So we always say prepare, look for questions on the internet. There are lots of questions, there are lots of topics for IELTS speaking, but also practice and prepare questions. Think about questions about you, about your family. What will somebody ask about you? Where do you work? Where do you live? Where do you come from? What's your neighborhood like? What's your country like? What do you like? Now, sometimes these questions don't always come exactly like, oh, do you like basketball? It could be, why do you think people don't like basketball? It's still about what you like or dislike, just that the question is phrased differently. So basically, these are the kinds of questions that you'll be asked in this part. Okay, let's move on quickly. What are for synonyms of like, such as prefer, enjoy, or interest? So sometimes the examiner will say, do you prefer basketball to football? It's the same thing, like asking if you like football or if you like basketball. Sometimes they'll say, what do you enjoy the most? Okay, or are you interested in politics? These are just synonyms. They mean the same thing with like or dislike, and they are very common in part 1. Yeah? Yes. Now, next one. All your answers shouldn't be yes or positive. Do you like swimming? Yes. Do you like shopping? Yes. Do you think that babies should be left with nannies rather than parents? Yes. Oh, no. You can't always make all your answers positive. It's your language that is being tested here, not your opinion. So don't think that, oh, if I say my opinion, it's going to be weird or funny. We all come from different cultures. We have different orientations. So nobody is asking for your opinion per se. What they are testing is your language. So using negative forms correctly actually show that you have the ability to use English at a higher level. So even when you feel like your answer is right or your answer is yes, you could actually say no, just to prove to the examiner that you can speak in negative terms, So feel free. If your answer is actually no, then say no. Don't say yes because you feel it sounds good. Nobody's looking for your opinion or what sounds good. We're only after your language ability. So using negative forms is also a good way of being able to say that you can speak positively and negatively in English. You can use I don't, they don't, we don't, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, no. Using these forms of expressing yourself negatively, they also help boosting your ability, right? Okay, so tip 7, always extend your answers. And you can use a reason or an example or both, but never ever answer an out question with one word or with a short sentence like, do you live in the city or in the suburbs? You just say, I live in the city. It's a good sentence, but you can extend it. I live in the city. I live in one of the biggest cities in my country. The name of my city is, okay, you don't need to talk too much, but at least you've answered the question with a short sentence. Then you can add either the reason for your answer or an example, just something to complement the short sentence. Or, do you like pets? No. That's too short. Do you like pets? No, I don't like pets because when I was a child, we had a puppy and the puppy bit me, and from that day, I have been scared. Okay, that's it. I've just given you no, and I've given you a reason for my no. So sometimes you can add a reason, sometimes you can add an example, sometimes you can use both. It all depends on the circumstance, but always avoid yes-no answers, one-word answers, or short sentences. Next one, please be mindful of the time. Answers that are too long are as bad as those that are too short. So if you are asked a question, you don't need to keep going on and on and on. Remember, part 1 will last for only 4 to 5 minutes. And the examiner has about 8 to 10 questions. Do the math. It means that each question and answer is approximately 30 seconds long. So the time for asking the question and the time for you to respond is about 30 seconds. That's all. So when you're practicing for this test, you have to do this with yourself. Ask yourself a question, answer the question, and look at the time. Time yourself and see how many seconds you spent. Your answers shouldn't be longer than 20, 25 seconds. Yeah? These are the perfect answers for part 1. And number 9, make sure that you answer the question you are being asked. Sometimes we could get carried away or we have our own personal views, and someone says, do you like investment? So instead of saying, well, I like to invest, but I just don't have, enough money at this time to invest in anything major. Something like that. You say, do you like investment? Investment is the best thing to do. I mean, investment is great for nations. Investment is great for families. You are saying something else. You are talking about the credits or the advantages of investment. But the question is, do you like investment? So don't mix the two up. Fine, it's your language being tested. If you've used the vocabulary well, it's fine. But the moment you deviate from the question you are being asked, the examiner will wonder if you actually understand spoken English. And you don't want to create a doubt in the heart of your examiner. So you really do want to answer the question you were asked and not something else. So avoid digressions, avoid being carried away, avoid being emotional. Just answer the question you've been asked. And finally, as you can guess, practice, practice. Look, there is an adage that says practice makes perfect. If you don't practice it, you can't be good at it. So if you want to get a high score, please, I appeal to you, take time to practice. There are lots of ways to practice. So you can get questions off the internet, ask yourself those questions, put on your timer, practice the time, practice the answer, learn vocabulary around things about yourself, about family, about vacation, about your neighborhood, about your country. Just look for vocabulary in this area, things that you like or don't like, hobbies, and things like that. Just practice all the time. Get a friend, somebody to help you practice with, or you could record your answers on your phone and listen, play back the answers and refine them until you feel they are sounding better. And I think with these 10 tips, you will do just good. Thank you.
Well, I think those are really precious tips if the students are going to listen to them. Number one, these are eventually a kind of a motivational stuff that the student might get, because these are attached with some emotional aspect of a human being, like practice, or maybe listen to yourself again and again and then try to answer within a shorter period of time, like maybe 20-25 seconds, and then you have the synonym part of it. So all these things, and you must answer with the relevancy of the question. Like if you are asked for something and you are asking, you are telling them about something else, so this will also like impact on your marks. So I think these are very helpful tips, because see, there is a bunch of material available on the internet, but in this campaign what we are trying to do is to like practically, an IELTS expert is with us and he or she is sharing the tips as they share